It's day 2 of GBV 16 days of activism, guys, and I have a question for you. What comes to your mind when you hear the term gender-based violence? Is it something you think only happens to women, or maybe you've never thought about how it affects men too? Today, we're diving into an uncomfortable truth. Gender-based violence doesn't discriminate. It affects us all: men, women, children, communities, and nations. So, welcome to today's podcast episode where we'll continue talking about gender-based violence. I'm your host, Yuahanna, and as a part of the 16 Days Activism campaign, we're tackling the very important topic of gender-based violence. But today, I'm not doing this alone. I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who is deeply passionate and experienced in this field, my colleague and friend, Aisha. Aisha is not just a lawyer, but a lawyer who has fierce flair and an advocate for survivors of gender-based violence. She's spent years studying and working with victims and raising awareness about these issues. Aisha, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, it's Aisha, and I'm so excited to be here. Really, I can't wait to start this discussion. I can't wait to just delve into it.
So let's start with the basic, Aisha. When people hear the term gender-based violence, many assume it only applies to women experiencing physical violence. But it's so much more than that, right?
Yes, I mean, yeah. I don't know why people just assume that this gender-based violence is just done against women. I mean, gender-based violence, it's more than just physical. It goes above physical, there's mental, there's a lot emotional. So it is much more broader than people actually think it is. And men are actually victims of gender-based violence too. It's not only restricted to women.
Thank you for breaking that down. I mean, one thing I've noticed is that when you bringing conversations about gender-based violence, it often leave out men as survivors. You have worked with some survivors over the years, and the society tends to think of men only as the perpetrators.
Yes.
So, from your work, do you know what reality the male survivors go through?
So when we talk about GBV, that I'm referring to gender-based violence, it affects everyone, regardless of age, gender, and your background. If you are talking about this physical violence, let's just assume that a person is raped. Men can be raped too, Men can be raped too. We are talking about emotional abuse. Men undergo this emotional violence too, They are just not part of the population that just picks up. You get? They are not part of the people that speak up. Ladies speak up, but men don't speak up.
So, there have been misconceptions and there have been real life stories.
Yes.
And some of the myths surrounding GBV, for example, the idea that it only happens in rural or uneducated communities. Aisha, what's your take on this?
I mean, people tend to overlook the one major place where this thing goes on. I mean, workplace. People turn a blind eye to the workplace. Why? This workplace constitutes of a major part of where GBV starts. When you talk about GBV, people just assume you're in an intimate relationship with someone. That's why this thing just comes up and automatically it's your fault. It's like the work we had yesterday. The speaker was actually saying wearing a short skirt is not an excuse. And the major thing they say, it's your fault. Why are you wearing this? So, workplace is a major part that constitutes this, and people don't tend to talk about it. Why? This goes far beyond our cultural background or where we stay. It starts from the workplace. The major place it starts from is workplace, not even an intimate relationship.
Yesterday, someone pointed out how school-related gender-based violence is also a thing, and it affects these children lifelong.
Yes. The society is growing rapidly. When I mean by you see young girls and you underestimate their knowledge, the knowledge they have on things. These days, TV has much more influence. Children watch a lot of things on TV, whether good or bad, and some of them just pick it up fast. And now this school is a place where your child gets mixed up with a lot of things, you learn. It's not only restricted to knowledge you have on education or stuff. It's extend to far beyond that, and they tend to implement it. So most of this gender-based violence starts also in schools. For example, now you're in school, there's this one case I actually heard of. It's in one school actually. I'm not going to disclose name for sake of privacy. I hope that's okay with you. And yeah,
That's
that's actually an Islamia, and then they actually caught a guy that's a young child, not more than 9 years old, under a table with a girl, and he was attempting to remove her skirt. Now, you can't tell me that he didn't watch this thing from somewhere. You can't tell me that he didn't pick it up from somewhere. So we see kids and we just assume that they are innocent souls, they're very sweet souls, and they don't know they don't have any knowledge about this type of things. But you'll be surprised at the extent that they actually go doing this thing without actually even knowing the impact of what they are doing.
That's really crazy.
It
The
is.
reality of gender-based violence using figures globally, 1 in 3 women experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetime.
That's very true.
Though, and surprisingly, 1 in 6 men also report experiencing sexual violence at some point in their lives.
Exactly.
Then there are these less discussed forms of violence, because violence doesn't really have to be physical alone. We have the economic abuse, emotional manipulation, and coercion that cuts across all genders, and we get to face this every single day.
Yeah.
Now, we all should think about GBV as non-discriminatory. Women are seen as victims normally, men as perpetrators.
Which is actually this, society actually contributes to this. Why are men or women seen as victims? I mean, if you have experienced sexual-based violence, I don't know why they can't just see them as survivors instead of victims. This actually stops them from even coming out to even talk about it, even be open about it, because society is going to turn them around, stigmatization. And this is gradually even going to come up to trauma.
And this is very true. Now, shifting to solutions from the legal standpoint, what protections exist for gender-based violence survivors in Nigeria, and where do you think we need to really work more on?
Okay. So, when we talk about law, the first thing we're actually even going to look at is the Constitution. Every citizen of Nigeria has the right to dignity, and all this gender-based violence is affecting your right to dignity. You have a right of your dignity, and all these acts are, let me use the words we actually learnt in law school, repugnant to natural justice, equity, and good conscience. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, what's that? And I feel like we should come at as a society as a whole. Not really that we will just be doing this individual empowerment, because community empowerment stands more chance at impacting on people as a whole. Not only as the financial basis and the amount of people they can reach out to, but it's stronger. Your voice is stronger, and people will end up hearing you more. Like, you speak loud. That's just the fact of the thing.
That's very true. So, socially, what do you think people need to know, people need to do to curb this gender-based violence going on?
Okay,
To challenge the stereotype, yeah.
all right. Socially, I feel you should define your boundaries. You should know what is normal and what is not normal. That's just the first thing. When you know the right from wrong and the wrong from right, you get to know, okay, this is not this. And secondly, you should develop the courage, the confidence to speak up, regardless of whatever it is going to happen. You don't just create that fear and let that fear within you consume you to the extent that you're willing to go through all this to hide whatever it's happening to you. No, it doesn't work that way. You end up being cheated and you end up having a lot of emotional trauma and distress with your life. This thing actually causes loss of autonomy. There are some people that have gone through gender-based violence and they end up killing themselves because it's just too much for them to handle. So defining your boundary and most importantly speaking up is the way forward. You can't hide this if it happens to you. You need to speak up. It is your right. You have been violated against.
That's very true. For a fact, we need to speak up wherever, whenever, no matter the circumstances, even if you are threatened.
Yes.
You really need to speak up.
Yeah.
The law is on your side. You need to speak up. So, this conversation has been so enlightening, Aisha. Before we wrap up,
it's coming to an end already.
It is, unfortunately.
Oh my God.
Before we wrap up, what message would you leave with our listeners about gender-based violence and the importance of collective action because it affects us all?
So guys, gender-based violence is so much more than you think it is. It's affecting our society at large, and the statistics keep growing every single day. What is this message trying to tell you? We need to come as a society as a whole to tackle this thing. This is not right. It is not right. It is fostering our peace, and there is no future with gender-based violence. Can you even imagine a future with gender-based violence? What will we become? No, there is no excuse for gender-based violence. We need to start it now.
So guys, we need to start it now, and I'll encourage you guys to join us. These 15 days left, Days of Activism campaign, and let's push this talk forward. Thank you, Aisha, for sharing your experience and your passion. Gender-based violence is not just a woman's issue or a man's issue. It's a human issue. It affects us all, and it's up to all of us to break the silence. Survivors, don't look at them as victims. Support survivors and create a society where violence has no place. If you found this episode meaningful, please share it, start a conversation. Let's keep the momentum going during these 15 days left of activism. Until next time, where we'll be coming to you with other hot topics during the days of activism. Please take care of yourself. Have a wonderful day, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, bye.
Bye.